Hey guys, welcome back. I am very excited for this video. It is my project 100 uses update. I started this project based on Too Much Tasha's 100 Club. I will link her in the description box. Basically, I picked a bunch of powder makeup products like blush, face palettes, eyeshadow palettes, things I know I will never finish or hit pan on, but I just want to get usage out of them. So I'm trying to get to a goal of 100 on these items. And I did get to 100 uses on one thing, which is pretty exciting. Obviously, I use the products beyond that, but I don't track the usage. I do a lot of project pans as well, where I am trying to use things up completely. So check out my project pan playlist for more videos, and I upload 4 videos a week, and let's get started. I didn't even brush my hair today. This is just like natural what my hair looks like when I wake up in the morning. I washed it yesterday and it dried overnight, and this is it. I'm trying to avoid using heat on my hair, so this is just what I'm probably gonna look like for a while. All right, first up is the Sigma Untamed palette, and this one I've used 21 times. I wish I had used this more because this is one of my favorite palettes in my collection. I love the formula and I love the color story. It is so beautiful. I really love the Sigma palettes. I think that their palettes are fantastic and these colors are so pretty. So yeah, only used this one 21 times. Wish I used it more, but hey, that's why it's in this project. So I need to pull it into my stash soon so that I can get more use out of it. Next up is the Juvia's Place Magic Mini Palette, and this one I have used 28 times. And that, again, like, I wish I had used this more because I've had this palette for several years. This is actually a palette I repurchased. I initially bought this when it was like the big magic palette, and it was just so big. I didn't really enjoy that. I ended up depotting it, then I broke some of the shades, so like 3 years ago, I repurchased it in the mini size. I don't love the Juvia's Place formula as much as I once did, but I love the shimmers in this palette so much. They are really, really beautiful. So it's one that I've kept around and I just really enjoy the color story. So definitely need to get more use out of that one. Now, this next palette. So like I said, the goal for this project is just usage, getting good use out of products that I know I'll never finish. I hit pan on this palette and I am shocked because I don't try to hit pan on eyeshadows anymore. I used to do a pan that palette for several years in a row. If you used to watch my channel way back in the day, but I stopped doing that because I just wanted to focus on rotating through my eyeshadow palette collection. So I don't try to hit pan on eyeshadows or anything. But I hit pan on this palette without even like thinking about it, and I've only used it 25 times, which is kind of strange. So 25 uses so far for the Natasha Denona Retro palette. And yeah, I hit pan on the shade called Andy, this mauve here. I mean, I do use this shade every single time I use this palette. I use it in the crease and I've also used it on the lower lash line. And yeah, kind of crazy that it only took 25 uses to hit pan. But when I'm using it in the crease, I use like a bigger fluffy brush. But kind of interesting. I don't know. It's one of the cream to powders, which I don't know. This just happened. I'm seriously like, I was so surprised and I thought I had used it more. And then when I checked my spreadsheet, I was like, only 25 uses and I hit pan? Kind of crazy. Obviously, I have used the rest of the palette as well, but like literally every time I've used this palette, I use this shade. So yeah, I love the retro palette. It is stunning. I love the shimmers. I love the mattes. I love the cream to powder. This is one of the best palettes in my whole collection. Natasha Denona is one of my favorite formulas, and it's one of the most expensive brands that I own from. So you're gonna see a lot of Natasha Denona in this video because I'm obviously focusing on a lot of those palettes in this project because, like I said, they're expensive. But I am shocked I hit pan on the retro palette, and I'm even more shocked that it was only 25 uses, but who knows? I mean, I guess if I was using this in the crease and on the lower lash line a decent amount, I guess it makes sense. So yeah, but this palette is amazing. And so I'm obviously going to keep it in this project, but I'm just very shocked I hit pan. Like I said, there's more Natasha Denona in this project, and another one I'm keeping track of is the Sunrise palette. This one I have used 45 times. And oh, something I forgot to say, I always say in these videos because people will ask what I count as one use. So if I did an entire look using like 6 of these shades, I would count that as one use. And then if on a different day, I just put this shade on the lid and then used another palette in the crease, I would still count that as one use. So that's how I do it for face palettes and eyeshadow palettes. That's just what makes sense to me. So 45 uses for the Sunrise palette, and I really need to pull this one out because it's perfect for the season. I have not used this in several months, I think. I did film a look with this earlier this year for my Reviving Old Eyeshadow Palettes series, and I really do enjoy this color story. It is beautiful. So yeah, perfect for summer. Definitely need to use this one. This is actually one of my older Natasha Denona palettes. I think I bought this one maybe 3 years ago. So definitely need to pull this out more and get some use on it. This next palette is semi-newer to my collection. I bought this at the Sephora VIB sale last fall, so I've had it for about 6 or 7 months, and that is the Biba palette. And this one I've used 26 times since I bought it. And again, this is one I need to pull out and use. This screams very fall color story to me though, so that's why I haven't reached for this in the spring or the summer yet. I don't think I've used this palette since, I don't know, maybe April. I don't really remember exactly, but I love this one. And the formula is so good. There's something exceptional about this formula. I definitely think the formula in this one is smoother than Sunrise. This is like amazing, best of the best formula, fantastic, so easy to blend. So yeah, 26 uses for this one. I don't know how much use I will get out of this palette in the next coming months, but for sure that is like calling to me for fall looks. Next up, we have the Charlotte Tilbury palette. This one's called Smoky Eyes Are Forever. I have 3 of these larger Charlotte Tilbury palettes, and I really, really like them. I like this formula more than her quads. I've decluttered one of my quads. I still have one, but I have 0 plans to purchase more of those. The larger palettes, though, I think are beautiful, and I've used this one 51 times. And yeah, so I've used this shade a lot. This is a super boring color. However, I am very, very picky about the eyeshadow that I use to set my eye primer. I've been using the MAC Painterly Paint Pot, and I do like to set that down with just a little bit of like a cream colored eyeshadow. And I don't know why, but not all cream colored eyeshadows are created equal. This one is one of the best. Some of my other favorites are, there's one in the ColourPop So Jaded palette. I love that one. And there's one in one of my BH Cosmetics palettes that I really, really like too. I want to say it's the one in the Beautiful in Barcelona. I don't know. It's such a simple thing, but I am very, very picky about the shadow that I use for that step because I just want to put on a light amount. But because I have creases on my eyelids and my eyelids are a bit oily, if I don't set my eye primer, it's gonna crease. So yeah. What I've been doing is using the MAC Painterly Paint Pot and then setting it with this shade right here. Like I said, super boring color, but for me, it's crucial. And obviously I've used the rest of the palette too, but you can tell this is the most used. I love this color story. These greens are stunning. The coppery reds, also beautiful. These light pinks actually are really, really pretty too. They look a bit boring in the pan, but on the eyes, they are actually more interesting than they appear. Next up is a face palette, and that is the Ofra Island Time palette. And I've used this 65 times, and it's not going to look like it because these blushes are so intensely pigmented. I need the lightest amount. Like, I'm not kidding you. I tap my brush once and then put it on, and that is enough color for both cheeks. These are really pigmented blushes, and I've used the highlighter some too. I haven't used the highlighter as much. I tend to mostly reach for the blushes in this palette. I've had this palette for several years, and yeah, 65 times. I know, it doesn't look like it. And it's so funny because I feel like A lot of times in these videos, I'll get comments, people being like, well, it really doesn't look like you used that palette that much. I did. I don't know what to tell you, but I did. I don't know. I am not super heavy-handed with makeup, and especially a super pigmented blush. Like, yeah. And I can tell you that I have blushes that I'm completely trying to use up. For example, the oldest makeup product in my collection that I've had for over 10 years. I've been using this blush like 3/4 of the days this year and used it a ton before that. And I still haven't hit pan on it. So it takes a really long time to hit pan and use up blushes. The blushes that I have used up have taken well over a year of use. Like I'm talking 1.5 to 2 years of regular use to use up a blush. For me anyway. You know, obviously if you're more heavy-handed than I am, then it would go faster, but no, not for me. It takes a while. So yeah. Panning Cheek products is difficult, but I am trying in my Finish 10 in 2022 Project Pan, but I'm working on 2 blushes there. I haven't hit pan on either one, so I need to update that project soon actually. Okay, next up is this glow kit from Anastasia, Nicole Guerrero glow kit. I've used this 74 times. This is the last product I ever bought from this brand because I don't buy from them anymore, but I bought this over 2 years ago when it was re-released, but I do still enjoy it actually. And I am not into face palettes anymore that have, or I should say I'm not into highlighter palettes anymore. I pretty much try to stay away from face palettes unless they are ones that kind of have a combination of highlighter, bronzer, and things like that. I would never buy a full-on highlighter palette anymore just because I'm not into that much highlighter. However, this being a more intense formula, I actually do enjoy it quite a bit. And obviously this shade I've used the most, but I do get use out of every color in here. I use them all and I like to mix them together. It's a lot of fun. So I still like this, even though it's definitely not something I would buy now. Alrighty, one more thing to update on before I show you the item I got to 100 uses on, and that is the Natasha Denona Glam Palette. I've used this 33 times so far. Again, this is one I wish I used more. This is one of my favorite palettes in my whole collection. I think this one, Retro, those are probably my top 2. Well, I don't know. They're in like the top 5 best palettes in my collection. I love them so much. And this is absolutely lovely. Definitely enjoy this one. Want to get more use out of it. I mean, this is one where I kind of just use like whatever when I feel like it. Sometimes I'll do like a lighter look, sometimes a more smoky look. Beautiful palette. So yeah, 33 uses on that one. And now let me show you the product I got to 100 uses on, and it's not gonna look like it, I know, but I have used the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk blush over 100 times, and look at it. Like I said, you guys, panning blush is not easy. You can see there is a dip happening here, but this is not a powdery formula at all. There's virtually no kickback when you put your brush in this product. So yeah, that is definitely a big factor when it comes to blushes. I semi-regret that I'm trying to pan that MAC blush because MAC blushes are also very tightly pressed and have virtually no kickback in the pan like this one. So yeah, for example, a few years ago, I used up one of my Wet n Wild blushes, and that was a very powdery formula, and it was doable. It still took me 1.5 years, but I was able to completely finish that blush. But this is super tightly pressed. Over 100 uses, you can see there is like a dip happening there. But yeah, I really, really like this blush. It's such a nice neutral color, blends very easily, fantastic formula. I would love to buy more of the Charlotte Tilbury blushes. I have a lot of blush though, and like I just said a million times, using up blush is next to impossible. So it just requires a lot of diligence and very, very regular use and a lot of patience, because for me, it takes a very long time. So, but I'm really happy that I got to 100 uses on this blush because It's probably my favorite blush in my whole collection, and it's expensive. I'm trying to remember if I bought this on sale. I actually don't think I did. And it's a $45 blush. So yeah, it's pricey, and I've actually used it a few times since I got to 100 uses. So it's been over 100 on this one. So yeah, I'm excited. I really enjoy this project. For me, this is something I do instead of doing a pan that palette or pan those eyeshadows. It was just kind of funny that I happened to hit pan in the retro palette because obviously I was not trying to do that, but it just happened, which is kind of cool actually. It was the first eyeshadow pan I've hit in a while. So kind of exciting. It kind of made me want to pan eyeshadow. And then I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to pan eyeshadow. I just want to focus on rotating through my collection. So yeah. Like I said, check out Too Much Tosh. I will put her in the description box. Check out my Project Pan playlist. Got a lot of projects going on where I am trying to finish things up. And yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.